Well, hello. This is the second video in our series on the medicine wheel. So if you need to go back and review the first video from 2 weeks ago, by all means do so, but we can carry on and take these teachings today and then go back. It's entirely up to you. The medicine wheel is a beautiful way of breaking down the information about Indigenous life into small bits that we can deal with. So last time, I talked about the four sections of the wheel: the east, the south, the west, and the north, and what they represent. So they represent the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter. The equinoxes and solstices are shown for those markers or points of demarcation. This point here where the white meets the red is spring equinox. Here is summer solstice. Here is autumn equinox. And here is winter solstice. And I spoke last time that our calendar year starts at winter solstice. But I also pointed out that when we do teachings, we typically start in the east of the wheel. Why is that? Because winter is a time of introspection, self-care. If you have medicine objects to create, I mean, historically, we couldn't farm, harvest, hunt, gather in the deep of the winter. So we pulled together as Indigenous people in our collective groups and stayed within our living space, pretty much. But with the onset of spring, things begin to emerge. So, yes, this is spring, summer, fall, and winter. But the wheel, to review, represents birth and early childhood, the energetic young adult years, the mature adult years where we're winding down from our work lives, and finally the senior years when we are becoming more dependent on others and moving back into spirit. I mentioned eagle in the east in the teachings I was given. Coyote in the south, grizzly bear in the west, and white buffalo in the north. There are 54 different language groups of Indigenous people across Canada, and these animals, the colors vary depending as we go across our country and Turtle Island as a whole. The animals vary because different animals live in different geographical spaces. So consequently, my teachings are what I'm sharing with you, but you may have other teachers from other traditions. And please know that 95% of Indigenous cosmology has the same basic underpinnings, but the animals and the colors change depending upon the geography. So what else can this mean? This can mean, besides child, young adult, mature adult, and senior, it's morning, afternoon, evening, and night. So it represents times of day. I already mentioned spring, summer, fall, winter. It represents the individual beginning in the east. So if we think about our interrelationship with the community, the east position here represents, or the red represents, the individual. The yellow, the immediate family. The community here in the west, and our nation in the north. It represents the aspects of the body: the physical, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual. On the points where we have the solstices and the equinoxes, we have secondary spirit animals, what we call spirit helpers. So, right at the point where spring and winter intersect here at spring equinox, we have otter. And what is the attribute of otter? Why would otter be there on the wheel? Because when we move into spirit and we transition into death, our spirit is reborn again, anew. Otter is an animal who is quite adept on, it moves very easily between water and land and back again. So otter represents transition and flexibility, our spiritual flexibility and our physical flexibility in our life. The animal down here, at the point where spring merges into summer, is beaver. And beaver is methodical. It possesses, as Brian speaks of in his opening prayer, dogged determination without complaint. It builds its dams. It too goes between water and land. It also has flexibility. But its ability is to show us that if we work and work hard and diligently and continuously, never going too fast or too slow, just keeping that perfect rhythm of life, that we will get things done, that we will stop the flow of the river when we need it to stop. In the southwest, here, this position, the point where summer becomes autumn or fall, we have crow. Crow, raven to some people. And what is that animal? Why is that there? Well, crow flies high. Not as high as eagle flies, but crow is a shapeshifter, and it shapeshifts into a spirit being. It is the call to the shaman. So otter guides us between our old human form into a new human form and teaches us flexibility and growth. Beaver teaches us how to work hard and do our jobs in this life. Raven is about wisdom and spirituality and represents the call to the shaman. To the Hopi people, it is the shapeshifter who becomes a kachina, or katsina as they say it, a god, a shaman. So it is the call to the shaman. So we're using our accumulated wisdom from birth through to being a mature adult. We're now going from our working, our responsible years, our getting it done. Now we're saying, hey, I'm in reflective space, and if I can do some spiritual work for my community, then it's time to take on those teachings. In the place where autumn meets winter, we have snake. And snake is pictured quite often as biting its own tail, completing the circle. Snake represents a number of things. It represents healing. It represents listening, because snakes deal with vibration, and that's how they hear. Snake represents the balance between male and female. If you've ever seen the sign for medicine, medical health, it's a caduceus. It looks like a sword with twin snakes winding up. Snakes represent healing. This is why it's in a symbol that's associated with healing. Coming full circle. In indigenous cultures, it's the balance between male and female. Many of our cultures are matriarchal and matrilineal in terms of the teachings. and the women had equal responsibility. It was only after colonialization that women began to be put down with an imbalance. But this is about bringing balance back. You're bringing balance between your human life and your spiritual life and in all your relationships with everything. It's also the time to complete the lessons in healing. So Snake sits here, and then we have come full circle. In my other videos on the moon cycles, I've talked at great length about them and how they fit in the wheel. But we have a number of grandmothers representing the moon cycles. Every moon cycle has a name. When we are born within a particular moon cycle, so let's say this first moon cycle, let me get my sheet, because even as old as I am, I can't remember every specific detail. So this first moon cycle runs from the 19th, because winter solstice can happen in our century as early as the 19th. From the 19th of December until the 15th of January. And then on the 16th of January, we move from the second into the second moon cycle. But just to give you an example, this first moon cycle is referred to as Snow and Blizzard Moon. So that's the name of the moon cycle. The totem is wolf, and the clan happens to also be wolf. Wolf is very much about family. And the name of the grandmother who presides over this moon cycle is Talks with Relations. Why? Because we're pulling indoors. We're celebrating this new year starting. We are, I don't like to use the term stuck inside, but we are, to protect our health, not able to be out and about. It's not like the summer, so we have to stay in. We have to learn how to cooperate. Wolves are very pack oriented, as most everyone knows. The spirit keeper here is white buffalo. And white buffalo is both a spiritual being, obviously, but buffalo represents complete support. The Plains people, when they hunted buffalo, every part, every sinew, every tendon, every piece of bone, the hide, everything, even the brain of the buffalo was used for tanning hides. Everything about the buffalo was used. The buffalo is looking after us in the winter months, making sure we are clothed and fed and have the tools we need to make it through the winter. If you go to a powwow or sacred gathering and you see regalia or ribbon shirts, ribbon dresses on men and women, I was taught that the colors of those ribbons for this moon cycle only are white and black. So if I come upon somebody and I see them in a special shirt, a ribbon shirt, and they've got black and white, I know that they were born in the first moon cycle. It's like a code. So I would put those colors of ribbons on my medicine blankets, on other pieces of clothing, on my sacred kit. The chakra that's associated with the first moon cycle is the Brow Chakra, or Ajna in Sanskrit, third eye chakra. And it's about intuition and inner knowing and communicating with the ancestors. This is a time of celebrating not just with our physical human family, but with our ancestors. And as I pointed out in my other video for this time, the cycle where the veil thins is right now, and this carries into the winter. The plant that's associated with this particular moon cycle is echinacea. And why would we need that? Because echinacea is about immunity. So the particular coneflower, which echinacea is also called, is the angustifolia version, Echinacea angustifolia, because that's the one that has immune boosting properties. The part of our auric field, because this represents the aura as well, the physical, the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual parts of us. The part of the aura is the mental field. The element is air, of the 4 elements. And there are other attributes to this moon cycle. For example, the crystals one would use are the monoclinic category of crystals, which is a whole separate discussion and video. The numerological value is 22, which is a master number. Uranus is the planet associated with this. And crystals that you would consider for this time include amethyst, lavender quartz, malachite, and lepidolite are examples. So that's just a quick overview on one moon cycle. Let me come back to the grandmother. This grandmother talks with relations, as I mentioned. All 13 grandmothers shapeshift between the form of an owl, an old woman, and the moon itself. So we do ritual and prayer, new moon, full moon, and other rituals as needed. But this is important because we are taking the time when we do ritual. Prayer ties, smudging, singing songs. We're taking the time to connect with this grandmother and ask for support. When we pray, when we meditate, having sacred objects, and this is the time when we are working with and creating our sacred objects, repairing sacred objects we love, making new ones we may not have had. So it's important to celebrate each of the grandmothers. Anyway, I don't want to give too much information and overwhelm in one session, so I will call it to time here, and thank you for miigwech, yawen. I will thank you for being present and look forward to more Medicine Wheel videos in the near future. Aho.